Hey kids, Anderson Cowan here. Just some dude talking about other people's movies. That's what I do. For the most part, I do a lot of things, but I mean, that's one of the main things that I do. I talk about other people's movies. I do that regularly here, as well as on the Film Vault and CinemAddicts, which you can find where podcasts are found. I talk about all sorts of movies, as you may or may not know. Originally, the original idea here for today, was to talk about Sean Baker's new one, Red Rocket. Very excited about that one. They had pushed it a week. I thought I was going to get a screener. It didn't. Long story short, it doesn't matter because it's kind of a fortunate turn of events, because instead, I'm going to be talking to you today about Licorice Pizza. That's right, Paul Thomas Anderson's 9th film, probably my most anticipated movie of the year. I'm always cautiously optimistic with Paul Thomas Anderson movies, because while he is probably my favorite working director, living director, I don't love all of his movies. However, every single movie that I see of Paul Thomas Anderson's, I've seen every single one of his movies, by the way. Have I mentioned that? I've seen all 9 of them now. A little feather in the cap. Every Paul Thomas Anderson movie I see, or anyone else sees, what you notice, at least I hope you notice it, is that he leaves everything out there. He leaves everything on film. That is to say, he makes the movie that he wants to make. I don't know how to confirm this, but it feels like he's happy with what he makes. He's not making compromises along the way. He's not taking shortcuts. He's not cheating the audience or himself out of anything that he thinks belongs on the screen. And that is something that is fairly rare. Pretty much every movie we see, we're like, do they have to do that? I guess they have to do. Compromises have to be made. Compromises. Feels like PTA doesn't have to make nearly as many compromises as a lot of filmmakers. He's got a lot of leash. He can make all sorts of really interesting decisions, because he's one of the rare trusted ones working in Hollywood. It kind of gets carte blanche, and that shows. This is a movie that would probably be pretty hard to get funded in today's climate, and to what's it's not a real appealing story, I don't think, on paper. But it's a very appealing movie, let me tell you that. So it ran for a week out here in LA. I think three other screens, all in New York. It was playing at my favorite theater in the world, which is the Village. It was the Man Village when I was growing up in Westwood. If you have not been out to LA, or if you live in LA and you've never been to the Village, you owe it to yourself to go to the Village. It's got history. It's an old Fox theater. It's the Regency Village now. It's right across from the Bruin, which is where Once Upon a Time in Hollywood had a little small scene where she goes to see herself in her own movie. She walks into that theater. Right across the street is my favorite theater, the Village, which is also Paul Thomas Anderson's favorite theater, and that's why he created this 1 week limited run where it would play on 104, exclusively in Los Angeles, anyways, on that screen for a week. And it was magnificent. Let me just tell you, I love this movie. I absolutely love this movie, and it's the kind of movie where if I saw it 10 years ago, I don't know if I would have loved it quite as much. So I don't know what that says, but here's what I can tell you about the movie and what you should expect, and what you can look forward to, because it comes out later this month. It's essentially a two-hander. It's a period piece. I think it's his 5th or maybe 6th period piece out of the 9 movies he's made. I've seen them all. Have I told you that? He's got a two-hander going here with 2 non-actors. Lana Hyam from the band Hyam, her and her sisters. She's in this. I don't believe she's ever acted before. And I know that Cooper Hoffman, Philip Seymour Hoffman's son, who plays the other lead, has not acted. This is his first movie. And that's shocking when you watch it, because he's fantastic. He chews the scenery. And here's the thing. Cooper Hoffman might not be the best Cooper in this movie, because there's another fella in here named Bradley Cooper. Might have heard of him. And he plays real-life music producer John Peters, who was at one point dating Barbara Streisand. And I hope I said that right. And he produced one of the Stars Born, the 1978 Barbara Streisand movie. And he even produced the updated one with Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga. So it's all really fun how it's all intermixing and intertwining there. And then the story goes like this. Apparently John Peters, you got to see the movie to understand like how horrific he comes off. Bradley Cooper paints him, and Paul Thomas Anderson make him look like an absolute monster. But it's the biggest laughs in the movie. It's the most colorful character in the movie. And John Peters said, hey, you can do whatever you want with my character and use my name. You just have to make sure that this is the story that I read. It's on IMDb. Don't hold me to this. But apparently John Peters said, do whatever you want with my character, which is shocking. Just make sure that you work in somehow my favorite pickup line, which is, do you like peanut butter sandwiches? This is a movie that can't be ruined, but that being said, I'm not going to give you the full story, if you can even call it that. It's just 2 hours plus of cinematic joy. I say that at the risk of sounding douchey, but I mean, it's just, the stakes are low, but there are thrills in there, and you're invested and you care about these characters. And it's a story about a 25-year-old and a 15-year-old, and it's not all romantic at all. It's just them trying to get through life. Yet, you think that, romance is just, Cooper Hoffman's character is always, after the older Alana character who's 25. And that's a movie you don't get just made like that today, because it's a little dicey. There's really, really funny moments in this that are absolutely earned. I should have probably led with this. Movies can do so many things, right? They're entertainment, escapist, voyeurism. Roger Ebert has called them empathy machines, which I think is one of the most apt descriptions of what a good movie can do, is to make you empathize with somebody you might have hated before. They can do all sorts of things, but when they're done, when a period movie is done right, like, it's the closest thing we're ever going to get to a time machine, I think, other than, just watching old 70s or, television from the past or movies from the past. But a well done period piece, I hate saying piece, but guys, that's what it is. It's like stepping into a little time machine and just being in that time. And that's what this movie is. And not since Once Upon a Time in Hollywood have I been transported to just a different era and felt like I was in there. From the moment you see the first frame, and just, I saw it on 70mm, so the grain is there, and I mean, it just looks like a movie. It's as though Philip Seymour Hoffman made a movie when he was like a teenager, and we had never heard of it, and somebody just found it, and they're screening it around town now. Because Cooper Hoffman has a lot of the same similarities as Philip Seymour Hoffman. You see so much Philip Seymour Hoffman in there, which is fantastic, because most of us miss him so much. And I feel like this is almost a response, because I know PTA loved Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I heard him interviewing Tarantino about it. I know it's one of his favorite movies from the past number of years, as many of one of our favorite movies. And I know that Paul Thomas Anderson has been working on this one for a while, and he's had ideas about it, and it's based on a real life guy that he grew up with. But ultimately, I feel like that his love of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he's like, I want to do a version of that, but my version of that. There's no violence in this. I don't think you see a single gun. You don't need any of that. It's not a romance either, even though there is that element. It's just a slice of life. It's just transportive. It's just cinematic joy. It really is. I love this movie. So Licorice Pizza, he might be doing other pop-up screenings around the country. I don't know. He does that. He loves theaters. He loves, the showing them and exhibiting them, because we are kind of coming to terms with that might be a thing of the past here pretty soon. So take advantage of it while you can, to have like a communal experience and watch a movie that is just so fun and lovable and good. And like all the thrill is earned, all of the laughter is earned, all of the pathos it's all earned. This movie earns everything that it gets out of you as an audience member, which I can't say very often. All right, thank you very much. Next week, probably Red Rocket, which is about a porn star, coming from Sean Baker. His last one's Florida Project. The one before that was Tangerine, which everyone should see. Everybody. Okay. Thank you very much. Anything else? Is there anything else? Oh, yeah, Sean Penn is also in this. Okay. He's actually kind of a funny character. Tom Waits is in this, crushing it. He shares scenes with Sean Penn. And then Tim Conway Jr., who is a radio personality. I didn't even recognize the dude, and I used to work with him. All right. Happy Friday, everybody. Thanks for watching.